Hi again. Welcome to part 3 in my series of short bits of information that I've extracted from our Become forums so that you don't have to watch the whole long videos to get the different pieces of information that might pertain to you. This one is explaining the difference between trauma and grief, and it's also termed complex bereavement. So this is a real quick one, but boy is it important. And when we don't realize that there's trauma attached to the grief, it makes it very, very difficult for the normal grieving process to flow. So give this one a watch and share if you think somebody else could benefit. Thank you. I made that beautiful cake. That is gorgeous. Plug for your business. Okay, so here's another piece of little education, psychoeducational. Complex bereavement, they call it, is a type of grief that prevents us from flowing through the stages of grief more fluidly, or they may not feel fluid, they may feel like all over the place, but it's where there's trauma that is involved with the loss. Stress, PTSD, trauma, all lead to complex bereavement. And they make the natural grieving process to be a challenge. What I did here is give a few examples of how you can tell is this trauma or is this grief. So with trauma, there's often a recurrent reliving of a negative aspect of the loss. So with grief, we're grieving the loss of someone or something over time, and it continues. With trauma, it's often an encapsulated aspect of the story. Sometimes with people, it's the moment of a diagnosis, or it's a phone call, things like that. A negative image feels stuck in your mind. So it's very natural, and it may not be the trauma to picture things, but over time, okay, that kind of calms down and you feel like you kind of move past that. With trauma, there's a negative image that I call it like it haunts you. It keeps coming back, and with it, it makes you feel like you're reliving it again and again and again. There's also persistent negative beliefs about yourself. With EMDR therapy, one of the things we're looking at when we set up a trauma before we do reprocessing is we're looking at what's the negative belief that you have about yourself in this horrific image that you can't get out of your mind. And very frequently it's my fault, or I'm not safe, or I'm a bad person. So, right, that I didn't do enough, that kind of thing. It's normal to have those, and then you kind of move on, they roll along. With trauma, no, they're really stuck. And there's an inability to remember the positive images or experiences involving the person. Or like we're talking about with the window of tolerance, as soon as you start to remember, you get thrown out of your window right back to whatever the traumatically stored memory is.